Alrighty, Mark. Welcome to everybody. Welcome to another episode of Wholesale with Joe. I've got, oh man, one of the best people in the business, Mark
Appreciate you
Stubler.
having me.
So yeah, just to give you kind of a brief update, or a brief breakdown. So Mark Stubler is one of my mentors. Like he is probably my original mentor. He not only got me into wholesaling real estate. I had been doing real estate before, but he got me into wholesaling real estate, and he not only taught me about being a successful businessman, but being an amazing husband, amazing father, and amazing friend. So I really appreciate you taking the time to join us, and yeah, excited to ask you some questions, just have a fun conversation.
Thanks,
So
brother. Well, you give me compliments of those things, but we're all on the same journey, right? Of becoming world class leaders, and that includes as a husband, father, and in business. So
yeah.
this will be fun. That was,
So for those who don't know, so obviously our show is Wholesale with Joe. So the reason I call Wholesale with Joe is because I wanted to cross correlate with what Mark and Cody have created, which is Joe Homebuyer. Joe Homebuyer is a franchise model with wholesaling, and we have over 75 offices throughout the country. Was it 25 states now?
that's right.
Yeah. So, and what's cool is that I saw you in the beginning of your wholesaling journey because I worked for a company that started buying deals from
That's
you
right.
guys, and so I saw you with basically starting from ground zero, and now you've built one of the most robust wholesaling operations in businesses in the country.
It's been fun. Yeah, in fact, you know, wind back the clock a little bit. It was fun. So we would be doing deals together in
Yeah.
Utah, and that led to teaming up and having you run operations for us in Dallas, which was a new adventure. You know, really for you to get your family out there. That was a challenge and,
Yep.
and an opportunity. And then for us to expand in that way is new territory. So our paths have had a lot of learning and experience together. It's been fun.
Absolutely. And one thing that I try to share within my podcast and with my Instagram and all my social media stuff is how to be abundant minded. And honestly, you and Cody are a huge contributor to that with me, because how much competition have you created for yourself just by, like, you hire, like, most of the people Mark and Cody are, particularly acquisitions, end up becoming business owners or end up becoming even competition. So how has that experience been for you?
Well, it's funny you say that abundant mindset. I hope that that's true.
Yeah.
The truth is, I'm also extremely competitive. Ask Cody.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
with anything I do, I want to win.
Yeah.
But yet, I've seen maybe just the good graces I've been blessed with, the opportunity, successes, that it's like, wow, I've been successful, but there's other people around me also having success, and so it's believing that there's enough for everybody. You know, that old cliche of we can all go to the ocean and with 5 gallon buckets, trying to fill our buckets with opportunity or whatever, and the ocean doesn't matter. There's still just the earth just keeps on giving opportunities there for everybody, but balancing that with also being extremely competitive. So ironically, we have 3 other franchisees here in Utah that are really successful, getting great results. But that drives me. The competitive side of me says, "Hey, yeah, we're going to share everything. It's an open book. We're going to help each other." But at the same time, it drives me to be better because I want to be the best of the franchise systems in Utah. So it's an interesting dynamic, believing in abundance, but also that just competitive drive to be the best I can.
No, that's so cool. And I think that you, by creating your own competition, it helped your brain work in a way like, how can I become better because
That's
of
right.
it, as opposed to, like, because you and I, we both know a lot of people in this business that didn't succeed because they didn't have that abundance mindset. That it's
Right.
like, because think about it, what was when you first started getting into wholesaling, was it back in 2015, right?
That's right.
So your marketing budget then compared to the revenue you did compared to now is significantly different, right? Like, you didn't have to spend a lot of money
No.
to do a significant amount of deals, right?
That's exactly right. We came in at the perfect time to learn everything, get exposed to what the industry was, bring our talents of just working hard and taking imperfect action. But yeah, I guess the industry just breeds a lot of interest, right? Real estate has an alluring, attractive side to it, so it captivates us to get in and to replicate what we see other people doing. So it definitely has brought a lot of new minds and required all of us to get better because of how competitive the market is.
Absolutely. No, it's been really cool for me. So in full disclosure, when I worked for Mark and Cody for 2 years, and I was a general manager in Dallas, and I really wanted to expand my opportunities. And when I sat down with you guys, when I sat down with both of you, you gave me the option, like, Devin, you're fully capable of going off on your own and being successful and wholesaling whatever you choose to do. But if you want to be a Joe and join the franchise side of it, then we'd love to have you. And I didn't even think twice about it. I chose to be a Joe because I just knew that, one, to have you guys as consistent mentors, because it's a lot easier to make a phone call to the people that helped you on your journey, especially when you're invested with them. And so that was, and then the culture you've created, and you've got, I think we could say this now, you've got like one of the biggest wholesaler guys ever. Jerry Norton is even buying franchises, which
been a great partner. Yeah.
So for those who don't know, give Jerry Norton a follow on YouTube and Instagram, like in all the socials. Like we had him on a call the other day, and he's one of the OGs, and this guy's giving us information that people pay tens of thousands of dollars for.
Right. So, and having him as a franchise, as a franchise is huge, right? He just brings so much value to the operation as a whole. Absolutely.
Well, and it's cool to see, and obviously we had Brent Daniels owns a franchise down in Arizona. So we've got some of the best people in the industry wanting to partner with Mark and Cody, and so it's really cool to be a part of that experience. So,
well, I have to give credit to you as well for you had that opportunity being a general manager for us, having the crossroads of, what do I do next, and making a conscious decision to invest in yourself, to go into the entrepreneurial path. Obviously, we're grateful that ended up being a Joe Homebuyer franchise, but you had the experience far greater than most franchisees, frankly, but you still had to, make the decision to invest, to set some money aside, to invest in yourself, take that action to prove yourself that you could do it yourself. So credit to you for.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So I guess, what do you say to the qualities that you're looking for? So we are talking about Joe Homebuyer, but if somebody wants to get into wholesaling, like what are some of the qualities and attributes and action steps people should take to be successful in wholesaling real estate?
Hopefully by me using this word, it doesn't come across as, okay, this is diluted because we hear this all the time. But I think tenacity is the one that's recently been on my mind, because the franchisees, the individuals that I observe that have the most success are tenacious. They just, another word that I use kind of in parallel to that is it's slipping my mind now because I'll focus on tenacious, I'll come back, but this idea, resourcefulness is what I was going to say. Resourcefulness, okay. This idea that like things aren't, perfectly falling into place, but yet you don't give up.
Yeah.
You figure out a way. Can I share a quick example? I don't know if
Please.
this will, I hope the listeners find value in this. So I'm at the DMV the other day. Has nothing to do with real estate. Full disclaimer here. Nothing to do with real estate, but I think the story illustrates this idea. So I go to the DMV, and I kid you not, there's 100 people sitting in the chairs waiting for their number to be called. I go to the person at the booth, and they say, well, you're number X. And I'm like, okay, does that mean I'm, if I'm that far back, does that mean that's how many minutes? And he's like, well, it's 3 to 5 to 8 minutes per person, so no, it's going to be significantly longer than that. So I say, okay, well, what's the trick? I'm like, come on, there's got to be a way. So my first attempt to get this deal done, so to speak, is, hey, you got to find a way to squeeze me to the front of the line.
Yeah.
And I just try to make him laugh. I'm like, come on, I know everybody asks you this, but, there's got to be a way to bump my number to the front. He's like, oh, I wish there were. And I'm like, well, surely, an extra $20 is got to, warm your heart. You got to. So I'm trying to bribe the guy, just to get me to the front, because I didn't want to wait. I didn't have an hour and a half to wait to just get a registration, updated title. And long story short, he goes, I can't do any of that. It was just a fun exchange. I was joking with him. But then I realized, well, hold on. He said something about the only way to do it in the future is to come between 10 and noon, middle of the week. That's the trick. He's like, or schedule an appointment. Yeah. So I go out to the car, schedule an appointment, for 20 minutes later. So I go get gas. I come back. I'm at the front of the line. There's hundreds of people in the DMV, and I now have an appointment. My number comes up. I'm in and out.
Wow. Yeah.
And I share that with you because, again, nothing to do with real estate, and I don't want to aggrandize anything I did. It was a silly DMV story. But just the idea that, like, when the first obstacle came up, it was, all right, I'm going to try to persuade this guy to bump me. That didn't work. Second obstacle came up of, I don't want to have to come back another day. I'm already here. I'm not willing to wait an hour and a half. So I go onto their online portal, and there's one appointment left for the whole day, and it's in 20 minutes from now. And surely it was just because somebody had recently canceled and that spot opened up. But that's what I mean with tenacious and resourceful. Those are the characteristics I believe that as we can train ourselves to think creatively and give that extra effort, it opens up doors that otherwise aren't there for those that aren't willing to kind of get creative and resourceful.
So you went to 10 years of school, got all these crazy degrees and to learn all this stuff, right? How much schooling do you got? You got in the books, Mark?
Hard knocks. I'm a perpetual student. I'm always reading. I'm always learning. I'm investing in mentors. I'm going to opportunities to learn and grow. But yeah, I didn't take a single traditional schooling route, not a single class.
So you've done hundreds, if not thousands, of real estate deals with literally just going through the school of hard knocks and finding the right mentors and people to guide you.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
So, and the reason I bring that up is, I joke with Mark is that, like, it's funny, most of the people that I invest my time with, or most of the successful people that I know, they have those factors. They have that resourcefulness and they have that tenacity. And I think that's what I appreciate you sharing that story, because it reminds me of Chris Voss. Like, it's Chris Voss gave the example when he went to Starbucks and asked if there was any discounts, and the girl said, no, there's no discounts. It's like, well, what about the Chris discount? And she's just like, and she gave him 10% off. Like, right. He just smiled, and like, so that's a perfect example. Like I said, you didn't get what you wanted in that moment, but he gave you just one little tidbit. I'm like, oh, if I make an appointment,
that's right,
I can see what's available and be back in 20 minutes and be in and out.
That's right.
So and that's honestly, Mark is one of the best negotiators I've ever met. Like, you truly, like, sitting in a room with you and just watching you just talk with sellers, and
it's fun.
I don't know, just the way you talk with people. And that's, I think, what happens in this business is people, and just business in general, is that people that are either stuck in the corporate world, or they're just like, I have no money, I have no clue what to do with my life, that real estate is an incredible opportunity, because we've got students, like, if you were to have every person you know that wholesales real estate successfully, whether they're franchisees or not, like, I bet the IQ test in a lot of those individuals is not very high, but their ability to relate with people, their ability to be resourceful and just take action is extremely high. And it seems like that seems to be the barrier of entry, in your opinion, on being successful in this business.
Well, how many of us know really intelligent people, but they're also maybe the stupidest person you know?
Yeah.
And that's probably generalizing too much, but we know lots of people that are really intelligent, mm-hmm. but knowledge without action is useless, right? Yep. So just because you know something, if you're not taking action, and I think that's what you're saying is, you know, for this industry, you've got to be quick on your toes, learn, and be hungry for learning, right? Maybe that's the word.
Yeah.
Is the hunger for continual development and growth. I think personal development as a leader, for example, is critical, because the people, you're going to lead yourself. You're going to lead your even if it's just a small team. But, intelligence does you no good if you're just, going to schooling or just a whiz with all the information about real estate. If you're not taking action, it doesn't do you any good.
Well, and I think to add to resourcefulness, tenacity, I think it's being a student. I've seen you as a business owner and other business owners that I own. Like, when you go in their offices, you see how they interact with their employees and people they work with, and it's just like, when you ask a question, you're not asking it in a condescending manner, knowing that you already know the answer. You're asking genuine, like, hey, I need an answer to this. Even if you have the answer, you want to hear it from a different angle. And I think, like, what happens with a lot of people is that they become students and they want to be successful in something, but then once they get a level of success, then they just allow their ego to take place. And so we've seen a lot of people in this business just kind of fade away because they let their ego take place as opposed
right.
to just being constantly a student. So So I would add, I think like Mark said, tenacity, resourcefulness, and I think being a student, those are the three extremely important tips and tools that you can apply to be successful in wholesaling real estate. So, so I'd love to know like your journey a little bit more. So tell me about how you got into wholesaling real estate, and then about your first deal you did. I think those are two things that'd be fun to discuss. So,
well, if I tell you, rewind to my very first deal. So I'm selling vinyl fencing. So I got into real estate.
How old were you? I guess.
Yeah, so 8 years ago when I got in. So I'm 41 now, but my first deal was probably, 12 years ago.
Okay.
So, and that'll be fun, just quick story to share.
Yeah.
But so whatever that is, I'm in my late 20s.
Okay.
I've got a friend that we went to middle school together. We just stayed in touch, and we're like, hey, we're going to become big time investors. So we made contact with basically a group that, basically a wholesale group that finds deals and sells them for you. Type thing. Whether they slightly did variation of that. So anyway, we find a deal, buy it. We got a hard money loan, and again, talk about imperfect action. We got a hard money loan. Yeah. We're going to fix this baby up.
How'd you find the deal?
Through this wholesaler guy, and I don't remember how we met him, but through a networking lunch or something, he said, "Yeah, we'll help you find these off-market deals." Cool. Okay. So we found this property, and we get a hard money loan, but we didn't know the terms of the loan. Like we didn't realize that it was weird. After 3 months, it went. He charged an extra 2 points per month.
Oh no!
So he was the real loan shark.
Can you explain points for those who are
sure
unfamiliar?
So if I borrow $100,000, they're going to have an interest rate, but they're also going to oftentimes charge points. And a point is basically 1%, 2%, whatever the point amount is on that total. So if it's $100,000, a point is going to cost you an extra $1,000 on top of the interest rate.
So you're paying $3,000 for a month for this property? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah. So I had the interest rate, which was whatever it was, 10, 12%, but then it was the couple points up front, and then another 2 points after 3 months, and another, and it was just tallying up. And, again, we were naive. We didn't double check everything. He was complete within his right to charge it because it was documented, and that's just how it was going to happen. So all of a sudden we realized the rehab's not done, the money's stacking up, and we ended up being compelled to refinance into a long-term loan. And so luckily we had good enough credit. We were able to do that. Pay off the loan shark, the hard money loan. Again, I don't know that he was a loan shark. We were the naive, unprepared investors.
He probably could have explained to you like, hey, these are the terms. Just be
That's
careful.
what we felt at the time. But again, you live and you learn.
Yeah.
We kept it a few years and rented it, and eventually we ended up breaking even or making a little bit of money a few years later after renting it. Okay. So we didn't get, wasn't our downfall. That was my first exposure to real estate.
Perfect action though.
Yeah, imperfect action. We learned a lot about the process. We had to fix it up. But all along the way, I was still selling vinyl fencing and decking. And if I can, I'll share just one quick little story with you. I'm working with this company for 10 years. Great company, selling vinyl fencing and decking. And I really had complete autonomy. I showed up on Tuesdays to sales meeting. That's it. And then all of a sudden one day they say, hey, you're now an inside sales rep for one shift, a 6-hour shift once a week. And it was like, I call it a gift because it was this immediate trigger in me. Oh, wait, I don't work for myself. They're controlling my time. I don't have complete autonomy because this position of coming into the office and working 6 hours, I called it the pencil sharpening job. Yeah. It was the most meaningless activity. It was so that they could save paying somebody $15 an hour for something. How
much money were you making at the vinyl fence company?
Yeah, I did pretty well because I started there again in my early 20s. All my friends were going to school. I was doing really well as a sales rep. I was making over $100,000 for, all 10 years I was there. Some years pretty good income, and so I was content. I was happy. I kind of
the golden handcuffs, right?
Golden handcuffs for sure.
It's like we like to call it in Utah. You're making 6 figures with a pretty cozy free reign. Just go get your numbers and call it good. Yep. Yeah, that's crazy.
So that's what was the trigger, though, when they said, hey, I need you to work inside the office and take these small orders and just kind of be a secretary of sorts. It was that trigger that's like, oh, wait, you did that rehab on the side. I tried to do an e-commerce business, and I was having a little bit of success. I was flirting with little investments here and there, lost a little money on some bad investments that I invested, right? Which we all do. I even did a little bit of multi-level marketing. Every good early 20s, person has to get their teeth kicked in from
Us Utah guys. I lost some money in the multi-level marketing thing as well.
But
it was
all,
like $500, but still.
But all crazy valuable experience trying to build
absolutely.
your leadership skills and all these different things. So that's what gave me the vehicle to learning and growth. So then in 2015, Cody and I had remained friends, stayed in touch, although because we met selling fencing together, he introduced me to investing in real estate and the concept of wholesaling and rehabs and these different things and said, you ought to come try this. And just a few months after that, we partnered up and we were on our way. But it was all those experiences really that paved the way to get really excited. And I have to tell you, if you're a vinyl fence and deck sales individual, it's great training being in a home trying to sell a product.
Oh, yeah.
It ends up being great training for sitting down with the family talking about the real estate.
Door knocking too, right?
Yeah, I mean, it just ends up translating crazy well. So if you haven't done real estate yet, sell some fencing for a while, and then it's funny. Door-to-door sales just seems like it translates very well.
So if you're getting into wholesaling real estate, like, do you recommend trying to find a mentor to work for first, or do you recommend just getting on the phones or start door knocking? And like, what would you say would be your best advice? Because I know what my opinion is, but what my thought is, but I'd love to hear yours.
I'm a big fan of mentors.
Yeah.
And I didn't mean to exclude that intentionally from my story, but when Cody introduced me to the idea, again, 8 years ago, I paid for the same mentor a few $1,000s that he did to get going on it. It's just the idea that if you can leverage somebody else's time and experience, it can be a really fast track or really enhance your learning process. And again, it's like, maybe I didn't go to get a degree in college, but if I can learn a craft and a skill and be mentored, I think that's the education. I always want to be learning, and if I can learn from somebody that's been there, done that, it can be just crazy valuable.
No, I think that's so true. Yeah. So, man, I think another question. So, what do you think is the most important factor in just like, because we talk about being successful in wholesaling real estate, that's what this is about, but who do you want to be as a person to make sure that you're providing as much value, not just financially for your family and for yourself, but like, who do you want to be as a person to make sure success is happening in all aspects of your life?
Yeah, I appreciate you asking that question. I hope this is meaningful for anybody listening. I really want to have impact, but I don't want it to sound like I'm not, for profit. I mean, I really want to be successful financially. I love having meaningful time and experiences with my family. I mean, I spend money on expensive dinners. I spend money on expensive vacations with the people that are closest to me, because that to me is as experiencing life at its fullest, is being surrounded by those you love, experiencing the beauty of the earth or places of the earth, or and even the creations in terms of food and that type of thing.
Yeah.
So I don't want to sound like I'm not into that side. But then I've also realized that one of the things that gives me a lot of energy is impact. Meaning when I find a way to lighten somebody's burden or get involved in their development, it really gives me energy as well. And I think that that's pretty common. I don't think that's unique to me. I think all of us, that's an embedded truth that as we are achieving, whether we recognize it yet or not, I think we all have an opportunity to find a way to have impact, to share what we've learned, or to lighten somebody's burden, or invest time with somebody. And that can be just as granular as your own family, your siblings. It doesn't have to be this grandiose thing. In fact, I think it ought to start from just internal, like those that are closest to you, and that impact can grow over time as we develop as leaders and as we refine who we are.
Absolutely. Well, and I think to add to that too, I think in how you translated that into business, like I think one of the biggest things that I noticed, the company I work for, we did a pretty good job at this, but when you're working with distressed sellers, when you're working with people that are in lower economic situations or status, and they're either behind on their mortgage or they have a loan they have to pay back to somebody, they have to sell their house. I think something that you really pointed out is like, like, okay, of course they want as much money as they can. Like that's an important factor in this business. And obviously you want to be able to
Sure.
give a fair offer to a seller, what makes sense for everybody. But you talked about, like, do they need help with their groceries? Do they need a ride somewhere? Do they need to pay their light bill to keep their lights on?
That's right.
And that was one thing that attracted me to you and Cody, and the environment you built within your business early on, and how you've been able to implement that. And that's something that I really try to do. So I really appreciate that example. And then also I've been able to experience, like, Mark has had his son work with him for the last few years, and now he's on a two-year mission for the same church that we belong to. And watching you not only just teach those principles to your kids and to your son, but then to live it was really cool, just to witness, and how, like, he just seemed like he's your best friend in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
so it's cool to see that, along with all the other good stuff as well. So
I appreciate you mentioning that. Yeah, it's been a blessing to be a father, and the journey of making money and being successful in real estate is really exciting. Don't get me wrong, I love it. But to have you mention, the process of being a father and having Jonah and his progression and everything he's learned, man, that's really fun. That's awesome.
So it sounds like, just to finish off, it sounds like the best way to start your wholesaling journey is, one, focus on being the best version of yourself, be resourceful, show tenacity, and be a student. It sounds like those are the tips that can help jumpstart you. And obviously, in having a mentor, finding a mentor, are the steps that can help you be successful in this business. Is that fair to say?
It's fair to say, and I think anybody that listens to that is going to be richly blessed. And I mean, that's just great content. Like, I appreciate you bringing that up and providing a platform here where, I mean, those 5 things you just mentioned is exactly what I've done.
Cool.
And I think it's spot on.
Awesome. Well, Mark, I really appreciate you taking the time. It's always a pleasure, and grateful to have you as a mentor and a friend, and excited we get to do business together, which is even better. So
that's right.
Just kind of the cherry on top. So yeah, I hope everybody enjoys this episode and you take a lot of value out of it. And yeah, you're talking to one of the best wholesalers and business owners in the country when it comes to wholesaling. So thank you for everything.